Alright guys, welcome back to another Roblox tutorial video, and in this video I want to talk about the idea of event-based programming. Now this video specifically, just for anybody who's experienced watching on YouTube, will not go into the idea of remote events. We'll talk about that in a separate video. I am talking about built-in events that are programmed into the API of Roblox, and essentially the idea of event-based programming. And I think this is a great time to also discuss the idea of a kill block, because that is one of the most fundamental scripts in all the programming, and it's very, very useful and helpful. So let's go ahead and create a sample kill block here. So before we create a kill block, something I do want to talk about is the idea of a humanoid inside of Roblox Studio. We haven't talked a lot about object-oriented programming, but we'll get there. But the idea of a humanoid is it's essentially an object, just like a part, and that humanoid, just like any object in programming, has attributes and behaviors. One of the core fundamental ideas of a humanoid is it's oftentimes the central object that can control a character. So I can tell a humanoid to equip a tool of a character. Here's the humanoid, by the way. Whenever you load into the game, you find whatever's living. If it's alive, it should have a humanoid. If it doesn't have a humanoid, then it's dead, right? It straight up is not alive, right? And there's many child properties of this object known as a humanoid. This is where you would change, for example, the health of a player would be right here. So if I wanted to damage my player, as you can see, the health bar went down because I damaged it. You can set how high you stand off the ground. So if you wanted to float while you walk, right, it would be changing your hip height is how you would do that. Oh, what was it, 2 before? There we go. This is your walk speed, for example. So if you want to move really fast, you would change the walk speed. Jump power is also done here. Essentially, a whole host of properties, just like anything, exists in here. And you can also tell it to walk to a specific point. This is mainly for NPC programming. So humanoid move to is done with that. You can also set a target as well for what you want it to do. But this is the power of a humanoid object, and it's important that we understand that this exists. You can also do some camera offsetting as well, and this is when you manipulate the camera and do things with the local camera. It's done via the humanoid, as you can see here. So now that we've kind of talked about that, also if you want to display your health bar, many things you can do with humanoid. But the idea of that object is very important to understand before we talk about a kill script. Now, let's go ahead and open up our nice server script here and do our fundamentals here. So local part is the script parent, and then let's go ahead and make sure that that part is anchored and that the can collide with that part is true. Cool. Now, a part in Roblox Studio is considered to be an object, just like anything inside of any program is an object, right? We'll talk a lot about object-oriented programming later, but just to lay down the basic foundation, objects are always defined by the attributes that they maintain. The attributes of a part are always listed in the Properties tab. The attributes of any object in Roblox Studio is always listed in the Properties tab. And you know you're dealing with a property when the thing here is blue. So excuse me, I pointed on my camera here. But when this is blue, you know you're dealing with a property. The second thing are behaviors. Whenever something's purple, these are the behaviors that are built in that a part can perform. So a part can make a joint, for example. A part can break the joints. A part can be grounded. And it even gives a description for what that does. For example, find first child, for example, returns a first child of that class instance with the given name here. It's either a Boolean, right, or nil. And this is a super important method to be aware of. It can also clone itself, right? So properties are often defined by those two specific things. Now, there's a third thing, and I'll zoom in here one more time. So the blue ones are the properties, and then colon, these are all the behaviors. The third thing that you'll oftentimes see here is a lightning bolt. A lightning bolt signifies an event that can happen with this object, right? So for example, if I got players, right, local players, equals game dot players, and that would be grabbing this service right here, I can trigger certain things to happen when a player is added. So for example, players, player added, right? Something happened to a player. A player was destroyed. I can set the max players. I can grab the respawn time of the players. I can say what happens when a player is removed. When all of these different events happen, I can connect and create functions to happen when these events happen, right? And this is the whole idea of event-based programming inside of Roblox. So let's go ahead and look at the most commonly used events inside of Roblox, which is a touch event. So when a part is touched, I can connect a function to happen. Now, this is not your normal function. Most of the time, when you have a function inside of Roblox Studio, oftentimes that function needs a name, like so. But if you notice here, this one doesn't have a function. And because it doesn't have a name, this has a specific type of function. It's known as an anonymous function in programming. And that's something that you should take with you. Again, this is a programming fundamental. You should know what anonymous functions are. But whenever you connect a function with an event, you get this here specifically, and this is an anonymous function. Very important concept. So let's go ahead and create a kill block here. Now, Roblox Studio does something very, very awesome. And that is it gives you the part that triggers a touch event. So this right here is the event as we covered, right? Touched is a variable. This variable represents whatever triggered the touch event. So let's go ahead and look at an example here. I'm going to go ahead and print this variable touched, right? Let's look at what prints out. So here's my kill block in the making. It's not all the way done yet, but there it is. When I go ahead and play here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my output window here. All right, here's my output window. And then let's also pull up my model over here. So here's my character model. My character model is an R15, which means it's made up of these 15 parts with a humanoid and an animation script. So I'm going to go ahead and touch my kill block now. And notice the game is returning to me what is touching the kill block specifically. So whenever you have a variable here, right, and it doesn't matter what the variable name is. Again, this could be tea, this could be touch, this could be cheese, it could be whatever you want. Variables can be named whatever you want. They just can't start with a number or have spaces. But whatever you put here as the variable name represents whatever is triggering this touch event. Because in order for something to be touched, something has to touch it, right? So T will represent, or touched, will represent the part that touches the script parent. Now, actually I should keep playing. If I go back here and I look at all the parts that are touching the parent, or touching this part here, if I look at what's touching the part, it's all children of the character model right here, right? These are all listed names of children of my character model. Very important concept because I'm about to write something. I'm about to write local humanoid, or the humanoid I'm looking for is equal to touch parent. This represents the character model. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a colon here and search and see if the character model has a humanoid. Now, why am I doing that? I'm going to go ahead and print touched here. Again, let's say I had another part, but this part did not have a humanoid, right? Obviously, this part does not have a humanoid. When I play, right, it's going to register that that part is touching, as you can see here. But we can't damage this part because it doesn't have a humanoid, right? So the whole point of doing this is to make sure that whatever is touching the parent here, the kill block, has a humanoid. Only things that are alive in Roblox Studio have this object. If I don't have this object in my character, I am not alive. As you can clearly see here, I completely fade away into nothing, right? So I need a humanoid in order to be alive, right? Now let's go ahead and look back here. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this part. So that's why we have this in here. It's to check to make sure that whatever's touching or whatever triggered this touch event has a humanoid. And then I'm going to create some if-then logic. If humanoid, right? This will return as a Boolean. It will return either true, yes, I found a humanoid, and it will essentially assign humanoid as the character model here, right? So essentially this is also could be written as if humanoid does not equal nil. If there's no humanoid, right, then this will return nil. So if the humanoid does not equal nil, or for shorter, if humanoid, either of those statements that I wrote in here in the if-then logic work, by the way, then I want a humanoid's health to be 0. It's one way to do it. This will now become a functioning kill block. So I'll go ahead and click play here. And my character passes away when it touches. Because what happens is when I touch this block, my humanoid's health here will then go to 0, which will automatically cause my character to pass away. And this is a fully functioning kill block. Another way you can do this is you can go ahead and use the method take damage as well. This is a method that the object humanoid can perform, and this is essentially the same way of doing it. I actually prefer to do it that way instead of manipulating the part property, and it will operate the exact same way. So that is one way to do a kill block. I use this because of an anonymous function here, but let's look at one other way that also involves function calls that you will see a ton in scripts. So let's say that instead of doing it the way I showed you, I'm going to go ahead and create a function here called kill, right? And inside of here, I'm going to have all the exact same code that I just have, right? Everything's essentially the same here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of this. I'm going to go ahead and close this, right? Now, I know that this touch event is going to pass whatever triggers it as a parameter to be called. I can put in here touched and then call this to run in here. Now, when this is called, it's automatically, this touch event's going to call this, it's automatically going to treat touched here as the exact same thing, and this will work in the exact same way that we saw before. This is a way to connect a touch event to a function that has already been defined here, right? This is another way to do it with events, and you'll oftentimes see Roblox programmers do it this way because they'll look for the function name to alter scripts instead of looking for an event and an anonymous function. It's one of a better way to organize things, and in the dev hub they do it like this all the time. You can do it however you want. I'm just showing you another way to do this, right? So now when I go ahead and touch this, it will do the exact same thing. And what's really cool is you can then, play around with this and trigger, many other different things to happen. For example, you could do like an instance dot new explosion and parent it to the part, which is the script's parent. And then you can set E here, and you can change things about E. You can do E's like, I don't know, make it big, change the explosion type, enumeration dot explosion type dot creators, sure, whatever, and then call this like local E, whatever, right? And then you can do like parts colon destroy, and this is now a landmine in Roblox. And this is what makes kill block such a fundamental thing. It's one of the very few scripts that is really based around events and can do a lot of really, really cool things. So now this is a landmine. So if I was walking, all of a sudden, boom, blows up. It didn't make the explosion sound, but still works the exact same way. I'm not sure why I did make the explosion sound. But anyways, the whole idea remains the same. This is the idea of event-based programming, the fact that a function is being called to run based on an event. And you can create many different types of events in programming. And I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.